I'm Jamel Hill, and on the latest OG podcast, Michael Smith and I will discuss coaching against each other in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game, or how my team is going to whoop his. Check it out.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show. Here with you, coming at you on ESPN Radio, as I love to do every weekday on 98.7 FM, New York City, 710 ESPN in Los Angeles, and, of course, nationwide on Sirius XM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Number to call up, as always, is 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Before I get back to the calls, get back to the topics of Darrelle Revis being in trouble with the law, the Texas governor speaking out against the NFL in regards to their new bathroom bill that you're trying to push forward. Charles Oakley, what happened with him and James Dolan. Let's not forget Draymond Green. He spoke again yesterday because he was confronted about what he had to say about James Dolan having a slave mentality and what have you. He sort of modified his comments just a little bit, having time to reflect upon what he had said. And Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors followed up with this. Listen up, y'all.
I never said James Dolan has a slave master mentality. I said when you look at something and someone has, they're doing something for someone and all of a sudden they can't anymore, that falls under the slave mentality. However, I think a lot of people has kind of given it the racial thing and whether, James Dolan is a racist and this and that and the other. I can't say James Dolan is a racist. I don't know James Dolan. Honestly, if he walked past me right now, I wouldn't know who he is. So for me to say that he's a racist, what I said was I thought it was unfair the way Oakley was treated. I thought some of the things that was said about Charles Oakley from James Dolan, from the New York Knicks Twitter handle, I thought some of the things that was said about Oakley was wrong.
Okay. Draymond Green modified those comments, got a little bit more specific. Actually ends up being correct because he didn't sit there and say James Dolan has a slave mentality. He said those actions that were described to him that he saw. He said that's a slave mentality. Now, you can interpret it as, he's obviously talking about James Dolan and, just nitpicking a little bit. So be it. But that's his position. He modified it, and I think that he's gotten himself removed from the equation as far as I'm concerned. And that is that. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. By the way, got to ask y'all a question. What do you want to see All-Star Weekend? What do you want to see most? Do you want to see Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant hug and smile and sing Kumbaya? Do you expect to see that? Do you want to, even though they're teammates, do you want them to be cold to one another? Is that what you want? Or do you don't give a damn about any of that? Do you not give a damn about any of that? And all you want to see is a good dunk competition for a change and a great three-point shooting contest. I mean, with Steph Curry not competing this year, Klay Thompson basically competing by himself, not really by himself, but not against Steph Curry, takes some of the fun out of it, in my opinion. But it is what it is. What would you rather see? Here's what I don't want to see. I don't want to see Russell Westbrook do anything or be anything other than being true to what he is. If Russell Westbrook does not like Kevin Durant and it's like that, let it stay like that. Let it stay like that. If Russell Westbrook is that kind of dude, don't sit up there and modify your position just because it's All-Star Weekend. And Steve Kerr, being the nice man that he is, being the gentleman that he is, chances are he'll go up to Russell Westbrook because this is an all-star exhibition game. Folks will try to get those two together. I'm not saying I don't want them to be friends. I'm not saying I want them to be mortal enemies or anything like that. What I am saying, however, is that if that's how you feel, don't fake it for anybody else. That's what I'm saying. I don't want it to be any different. If that's how you feel about Kevin Durant, don't change. Don't smile for the cameras and placate anybody. Be who you are. Doesn't mean you got to be belligerent. Doesn't mean you got to be getting a fight or anything like that. But be true to who you are. That's what I say. That's what's required of it. Because if I see Russell Westbrook smiling and acting like everything's okay, I'm not going to take anything else in terms of his animosity towards Kevin Durant seriously ever again. That's just me. Doyle in Oklahoma, you're live at Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Doyle?
Hey, Stephen, I just wanted to applaud you first and foremost. You know, even though you explained why you would look a certain way with your daughter in a bathroom and seeing somebody walking out, you know, you put yourself out there by making those comments first and foremost, but also having the wherewithal to be real and say, because you're not as, I guess, cultured or literate on those subjects. You know, you're willing to grow, and I just want to applaud you. You know, that's a big step because
it's just the truth, sir. It's just the truth, and I try to tell the truth. If I'm not educated or I don't feel I'm educated on a topic, I have an obligation to me, in my mind. I have an obligation to let you all know, as opposed to coming across like I know every damn thing. If I don't know, I don't know.
Well, and, you know, I've talked to you several times, and we agree to disagree sometimes, but I just wanted to give you your props on that. Real quick, the bathroom issue in Texas.
Yes, sir.
I have friends that, just to put it out there, that of all genders.
Okay, got it.
And older people of gender, you know, I've had these discussions, and it's a lot of them have been going to the bathrooms that they gender identify with themselves. You just didn't know it. This is a new thing. You know, like Will was saying yesterday, it's a new thing. Now, with that being said, I'm kind of like you with my children, my girls, and being in a bathroom. This may open up. You know, you don't know who all's coming out of the bathroom. You don't know if they gender identify themselves with that. And it may open up a Pandora's box to some extent.
Well, bottom line is this, because I got to rush you here, but the bottom line is this. You know, everybody has their feelings about it. We all need to educate ourselves to the issues to address whether or not we need to heighten our level of sensitivity and sincerity towards others, while at the same time, you know, holding true to whatever principles we may have. I mean, if you're in the state of Texas and that's how you feel, and your constituency is adamant about that in support of your position, if you're Governor Greg Abbott, then you are coming from a stronger position than the NFL. Because the NFL is about the dollars and being more inclusionary so they can get as many pockets as possible. But the constituency of this particular governor has they have nothing in this fight. So if that's the way that they feel, things have to be addressed. That doesn't make them right. It doesn't mean they don't need to be corrected. But it does need to be dealt with on that level, as opposed to the NFL or another sports league trying to tell us how to think just because they want us to align with their mode of thinking because it facilitates them getting more money in their coffers. You understand what I'm saying, Doyle? That can't be the incentive towards doing the right thing. The incentive about doing the right thing is educating ourselves to the best of our ability on these issues and taking principled positions from that perspective.
Exactly, and the NFL has a black eye for some of their past transgressions. Don't throw a rock when you live in a glass house.
I got you. I appreciate the call, Doyle. Thank you so much. It's a very, very valid point. Let's go to Liam in Philadelphia. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Be careful on this subject, bro. You might get a dial tone real quick. Go ahead.
Well, Sam Hinkie, I listened to that phone call that a caller was a few days ago, and you were saying that he was throwing seasons. Well, if they're trying to be competitive, where would they end up? The 9th seed in the Eastern Conference with no draft pick?
Let me stop you right there. Do you know of any team in professional sports who threw multiple seasons? Yes or no?
Yes, actually. Yes.
Who?
Well, the Vancouver Grizzlies were awful. They were
No. I didn't say awful. I said who threw multiple seasons. Like literally the moves that they made were flagrantly inept because they wanted to make sure everyone knew they were not trying to win. Who did that? Who did that? Tell me one team.
No team that I can think of.
It's never happened, which is my point. It never happened. I'm not saying that, ultimately you got to stink to rise. I understand that mode of thinking. I've seen situations where the David Robinson sweepstakes, the Tim Duncan sweepstakes, and beyond. These things happen. I'm challenging the length of period of time it actually happened, where you didn't put a veteran on the squad. You clearly were not attempting to try and win basketball games, and you were doing it on purpose. You're drafting dudes you knew wouldn't be available to play for a year or even 2 years. You literally were doing that while still charging ticket prices to patrons in your locale. That is inexcusable, sir. You can't justify that. You can't. No way. Have a nice day. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Back with more of your phone calls in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Hey, Low Post listeners, this week on the podcast, we have Howard Beck of Bleacher Report talking Serge Ibaka, Kevin Love, the MVP race, and his great feature on Thon the Curve.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I personally believe, ladies and gentlemen, that these people that call up to talk about Sam Hinkie, former general manager for the Philadelphia 76ers, and they call up to talk about him, and they call up to talk about trusting the process in Philadelphia. I personally think these are plans. These are people who call up just to get on my damn nerves. That's what I believe. Because let me tell you something right now. It's all about fairness. I know fair is a place where they judge pigs, like my boy Jeff always tells me. But it's still going to be about fairness to some degree. I'm dead serious. Who gets to sit up there and throw seasons and get away with it? That's my problem. That's my problem. Who can't do the job? If I go up to you in your chosen profession and I literally say you have a license to stink for the next 5 years, don't worry about your job. Don't worry about job security. Don't worry about having to produce. Who the hell gets that? Who gets that kind of luxury? Joe Dumars went to 6 straight conference finals, 2 straight NBA finals appearances. He gets booted out years later from Detroit. He can't sniff a job. And he proved to be one of the best executives in the business. Isaiah Thomas has been excoriated as a disaster because of his stewardship with the New York Knicks. But everybody's forgetting that he had the mandate to try and win now while still positioning yourself to get LeBron James in 2010, as if that made any damn sense. Sam Hinkie took over the job in Philadelphia. I'm not questioning the man's astuteness and his intelligence as a numbers guy and how that relates to basketball, particularly in this world of analytics. But my God, how could you get a job and they tell you, stink up the joint for the next 5 years? It's okay, because we'd rather do that than try to win. Are you kidding me? Trust the process, my you-know-what? That ain't no damn process. That's sabotage. It's disgraceful. You couldn't do that in New York. No matter what impression Jim Buss gives you in L.A., you couldn't do that there either. And somehow, some way, Philadelphia allowed that nonsense. It's a disgrace. Right now, if the season would have ended, Lakers would have the number 3 pick in the draft. Boston Celtics would have the number 1 pick because they have the Brooklyn Nets pick. Lakers are lottery protected top 3. After that, it goes to Philly. Philadelphia also has the number 6 pick. New York Knicks have 9th. Probably moved up to 8th by now. I mean, come on. Stink up the joint. Flat out stink. And you, too, can keep your job. In what world? I thought this was America. I thought it was about greatness. I really did. This is ridiculous. Back to the phones we go. Mark in Newark, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen? How you doing? I appreciate you getting the call.
I've had better moods. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know, man. They get on your nerves sometimes. Well, my thing is this. I wanted to know your take on the Carmelo Anthony All-Star appearance. Do you think he deserved that position, although the Knicks are garbage? And also,
I think he's an all-star. I think that he's an all-star caliber player, but I think that Bradley Beal should have been picked by Commissioner Adam Silver instead of Carmelo Anthony for that last slot once Kevin Love got injured.
Most of the time, because of an NBA player's name is why they get certain positions, not because of their game.
With the all-star, sure. I think that, listen, like I just said, I think Bradley Beal deserved it more than Carmelo right now. Washington Wizards are winning. The New York Knicks are losing. I don't think that Carmelo deserved it over Bradley Beal right now.
At all. I just don't get it because a lot of people say because of the fame and the name and the appearances that they've been in the All-Star games is the only way they get, not because of their game, it's just because of the name.
Got it. I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much. Quasi in Oakland, California. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Quasi, what's going on? Quasi, are you there?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen? Yeah, I'm here.
Roll up that window, please. We don't need to hear all that wind. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, appreciate taking my call. I had an incident, man, with a transgender person with my son in the bathroom, man. And just let me say this, I don't have nothing against nobody on this earth. Everybody has the right to live their own life. But when it comes to my kids, I don't play that. My son, we was in the movie theater. My son was in the bathroom, and it was a man transitioning to being a woman. Was staring at my son using the bathroom. So my son finished using the bathroom, and he went to wash his hands. The person kept staring at my son. I said, excuse me. I said, is there a problem? And he said, what do you mean? I said, he keeps staring at my son. He's feeling very uncomfortable. I could see it in his face. He's 8 years old. The person told me that they have the right to do what they want to do and look at anybody who they want to look at. I said, okay. My son named Kamar. I said, come on, Kamar, let's go. So we walk out the bathroom, and he's right behind me. And I said, man, can you give me some space? He was like, did you hear what I just said to you? And the person challenged me, and I said, man, look, I said, my son is 8 years old. That's why I don't send my kids in the bathroom by themselves. And the person challenged me and said, what do you want to do? I said, man, look, it ain't that serious. I'm here with my family, my wife, my two other kids. The person grabbed my arm and said, did you hear what I said to you? Stephen A. Smith, it took everything in the power of the world.
It would have taken everything in my power to refrain as well, Quasi.
Stephen A., and I'm going to tell you this right here.
Everything.
My oldest daughter came to me and said, Dad, he's not worth it. He's not worth it. And I just looked at her, and I had so much anger in my eyes because my son, if I just sent my son in the bathroom by himself.
Listen, let me say this to you. You're absolutely, I get where you're coming from. But in fairness to transgender folks and all of that stuff, there's a whole bunch of people that may be transgender that would have never done what that particular individual did. So let's not assume that because that particular individual acted that way, that anyone who is transgender would act that way. Just like we don't want people assuming that the actions of a few taint every one of us from our community or from the white community or from the Latino community or from the gay community. We don't want to sit up there and be prejudiced and biased in that regard. Your situation was unfortunate. That dude clearly was very, very wrong. And I totally agree with you. It would have taken every bone in my body not to handle that in a physical fashion. But let's make sure we're clear. That was him. That wasn't everyone who's transgender, Quasi.
Hey, I'm going to give you the capper. The police came, took the police report. The police officer came to my house 2 weeks later, found out that the person was arrested for child molestation in Wisconsin 8 years ago.
Got you.
So that's the thing. That's the thing I'm scared about. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the call, and I thank you for your story. Let's go to break. Got bills to pay. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. More of your phone calls in a minute with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
Kevin Durant was being interviewed by ESPN's very own Sage Steele this morning. He's talking about how Kevin Durant's going to do what he's always done. Come to All-Star Weekend, ready to have fun, play some basketball. He's not going to play a role in addressing any of the drama with him and Russell Westbrook, et cetera, et cetera. Smart move on his part. Like I said, Kevin Durant just, seems a bit temperamental at times or whatever. It doesn't make him any less of a great guy. It doesn't make him any less of a basketball ambassador. Certainly doesn't make him any less of a great player. He just seems to have a, big-time attitude these days about a lot of different things. It's his right. All the best to him. All the best. Let's go back to the phones at 866-729-3776. Let's go to Luke in New York. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Luke?
Hey, Stephen A. How's it going?
I'm great. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the Westbrook-Durant situation at the All-Star game. I completely agree with you. I think Westbrook should keep his mentality up. I think it's great for the NBA. I think the rivalry is growing, and it's going to only grow if they continue to keep this up. And I think the NBA needs this. I just wanted to hear what you thought about that.
No, I definitely think. I don't think they need it per se. I just wish Russell Westbrook was on a better team. Then I would appreciate, his going after Kevin Durant a little bit more because, I just wish that it was a fair fight. It's not because Kevin Durant is a superstar. Plus, he's on a significantly better team. And his departure from Oklahoma City has decimated that franchise. They're going to go to the playoffs, but we're not expecting anything from them because they don't have the crew. They can't make shots. Russell Westbrook is everything to them. He barely has any help, and that much is a crying shame. Let's go to Jason in Texas. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Jason?
Hey, Stephen A. First time, long time. Love your show, man.
Thank you. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, so I wanted to give you some perspective since I don't think you've had somebody from Texas call in yet.
Okay, go ahead.
So here's the thing. Greg Abbott is right in that the NFL should stay out of Texas politics. We do not take kindly to people meddling with our politics. We like to do that ourselves. And that right there is the problem, my friend. Greg Abbott
you're a proponent of states' rights is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead.
Greg Abbott and his social crusade and his wealthy partners in arms, as it will, are trying to force this down our throats. If you talk to the average Texan, we do not care one bit who's using what bathroom. Just stay away from me, stay away from mine, do your business, and get out of the bathroom. We don't care. We do not care. You know what the government should be worried about right now in Texas? We should be worried about roads. We should be worried about schools. We should be worried about jobs. We should be worried about taxes.
Time out, Jason. I got to admit to you, as a native New Yorker, you sound spoiled because all of those things you brought up, y'all got a hell of a lot better than New Yorkers. Jobs, roads, infrastructure. It looks pretty damn good to me in Texas compared to New York. Have you seen the potholes in New York City?
Well,
actually,
it's funny
crazy.
Stephen A. I'm actually from Syracuse originally.
Okay,
I'm a transplant Texan.
Okay. I got you, but I guess to get back to a more serious level of your point is this. You're saying that Greg Abbott is right about the NFL needing to stay out of Texas's business, but you're also saying that you completely disagree with the position that Greg Abbott is taking because he doesn't need to take this position because most of you folks in Texas don't give a damn about it. That's what you're saying.
That is exactly correct.
Okay.
That is 100% correct. There is not a single person I know, and I run with some pretty conservative folks, and they do not care about the bathroom bill.
Okay. Got it.
They do not care.
I appreciate it. That's a good perspective because if they don't care, then why is the governor pushing this? Interesting point. No doubt. Let's go to JP in Brooklyn. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, JP?
Oh, my God, Steve. I don't know if you've been reading your tweets, but I've been on the phone for about an hour hour and a half listening to the conversation. You've been tweeting on all of the different discussions you've been having. A lot of it, for the past couple of days, you've been right on point, Steve. I appreciate the way you've been moderating many of the discussions, whereas, you're not really putting your opinion out there, but you letting the people voice their opinion, whether they're for something or against what's going on in Texas, whether they're for the bathroom bill or against it. I don't like what's going on out there. I don't like the fact what they did with Charlotte Hornets, where they were supposed to have the All-Star game because of the city's religious stance out there. They wouldn't tolerate certain things, so they took away certain things. I didn't like the fact that the NBA got involved like that. I think these leagues should, worry about their players. Worry about what goes on, in their stadium, as far as, demanding the states to change their laws to fit, what they want, or, what they want to see happen. I don't agree with that. Another thing, you said
Hurry up.
What
Go ahead.
team? Last point. You said what other team besides the Philadelphia Sixers been throwing games? What do you call Phil Jackson doing with the Knicks?
I did. Hold on, whoa. I did not say throw games. I said throw seasons, meaning for years that's what you were doing, throwing seasons. There is nobody that has done that, JP. Have a good day. Let's go back to the phones at 866-729-3776. Let's go to Norman in St. Louis. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Norman?
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
By the way, I'm doing great, man. Go ahead.
My question is, do anybody get selected to the All-Star game that strictly got defense and not so much the offense? I know we got the LeBrons and people like that, but what about them defensive players? Do they get selected just because they defense or because, just because of the name?
What defensive players are you alluding to?
I'm like any NBA players, they go for their defense, like Russell Westbrook and stuff like that. I know LeBron
I'm saying
and
the guys that are all-stars are considered all-stars. And when you got 4 all-stars from the Golden State Warriors, it's because of the numbers that they're putting up, how explosive and dominant that they have been. And it's not anybody there that's putrid offensively, but they're there strictly for their defense. Everybody that I look at on the roster, with the exception of maybe Draymond Green, can put up big numbers on any given moment. And when you look at a Draymond Green and the role that he plays and the all-purpose role that he plays for the Golden State Warriors, you can't diminish or ignore his value.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Stephen A. Keep up the good work, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you. Amari in Westchester, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Amari?
Hey, how you doing, Stephen A? I want to piggyback off the last caller. I really appreciate how you've been moderating the conversation for the last couple of days.
Yeah, I've been moderating it, but I've let my position be known. It's just that I acknowledged my relative ignorance towards the particular subject in question, which is what I feel I have an obligation to do. But I've stated what I believe. But go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question about the transgender community. If someone born a woman had the operation change and came in the bathroom, how would you feel as a man about that?
I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with either scenario. But just because I'm uncomfortable and just because I would clearly be a bit discomforted doesn't mean I have the right to sit up there and say they shouldn't be in the bathroom if that's what they've done. That's where the confusion kicks in. But I will not deny for 1 second that I would be uncomfortable, especially if I had my daughter with me. There's no question. There's no question.
I feel like if you're going in the bathroom, you're just going to use the bathroom. But I guess, the conversation has also
more so a male bathroom than a female bathroom because a male bathroom is usually more open.
Right.
Yeah. That's basically my position. But I do understand if somebody sits up there and says, Stephen, you got to educate yourself because just like the parent that called yesterday, the man was damn near ready to cry on the air because of what his daughter has had to endure because she's transgender. He says, do you think she wanted to be this way? Of course she did it. And there's a heightened level of sensitivity from a human perspective that we all have an obligation to entertain. And I do understand it from that standpoint, and hopefully we will get to that point as a society. But I got to run, Amari. I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you so much. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Your phone calls to close out the show as we continue right here with the Stephen A. Smith Show. 98.7 FM in New York, 710 ESPN LA, and, of course, Sirius XM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Back with your calls to close out the show in a minute.
On the latest episode of The Bill Barnwell Show, I talked to ESPN The Magazine's Mina Kimes about the latest episode of The Bachelor. Hot stuff. And check out the show on iTunes or by going to the ESPN app on your phone.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
A few minutes left on the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. Let's go to Dre in Detroit. You're live at Stephen A. What's up, Dre?
Stephen A. Smith, man, just 2 quick points on Kevin Durant.
Yep.
First, I want to say is the people of Oklahoma City should be absolutely ashamed of themselves the way they treated that man for what he have done for that city and probably continues to do, because it just seemed like as long as a person,
it was excessive.
and it's ridiculous. It's like, okay, it's all good as long as I'm giving, and then when I stop, the gravy train stopped, then y'all treat me like this. That should confirm that he made the best decision to lead there, because I can understand if they salute him when they come out, when they announce him because it was a return, and then once they tip off, the ref tip that ball off, hey, get the booing because you're rooting for your team. That's, to me, and the other point I wanted to make is when he and Russell Westbrook had the little small confrontation, that didn't look good because his team, Golden State Warriors, wasn't standing with him where Oklahoma City was. The whole bench was coming to ride with Russell Westbrook.
Well, they didn't have to
that wasn't a
stand
good
with
look.
They didn't have to stand with him. They showed up and handled their business on his behalf. They didn't leave him hanging. Steph Curry had 26. Klay Thompson had 26. Draymond Green was battling. They weren't going to let him lose. And at the time he was arguing with Russell Westbrook, he was up 20. So, I mean, it wasn't one of those situations. They let him stand alone and handle this business because they had already supported him. But I get where you're coming from. I appreciate the call. Beth in Austin, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Beth? How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Go ahead, Beth.
Okay. About the Texas bathroom bill and the NFL saying no Super Bowls until you do what we say, it's irrelevant because we've had 2 Super Bowls in the last 6 years. It's not like we're going to get another one anytime soon. By the time we would be able to have another Super Bowl, this bill, if it's passed, will have, somebody's going to sue and it's going to go through the courts and it's going to be decided long before, the greatest football game of the year happens.
So in other words, you're saying the NFL is just posturing.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
It was easy, cheap publicity for them.
Gotcha.
They can take the supposed moral high ground and, make themselves look like we're a bunch of idiots. Basically.
Understood. Good point, Beth. Thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go to Rex in Los Angeles. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Rex?
I'm doing good there, brother. Just wanted to point out this madness with that last caller, not the young lady, the other one, talking about how the Oklahoma City fans should be ashamed of themselves. This is the soft league that this has become. I mean, you go to a team that you just lost to, and you go and join them. This is why this generation is soft. They might be more athletic than we were, but they are just soft as heck. I mean, look at the NBA today, my friend. There ain't no all-stars doing the slam dunk contest like Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins. This is absolutely...
It's Aaron Gordon. It's Glenn Robinson III, DeAndre Jordan, and some dude, Derrick Jones Jr.
This is who are DeAndre Jordan? I know who he is. Aaron Gordon's not bad, but where's the stars? Adam Silver needs to get all-star players who are athletic enough to do this slam dunk contest. I mean, this has become out of control. This is why the NBA is soft and pathetic right now, allowing all-star teams, basically a 4-team all-star team in Golden State. This is what it's come down to, my man. I mean, this is so pathetic. I can't believe that caller said that.
I got you. I appreciate the call, Rex. Thank you so much. Carlton in Massachusetts. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Real quick, Carlton. Go ahead, buddy.
The Cowboys got an absolutely massive smokescreen going here with regard to this Tony Romo contract situation, whether he's going to be released or traded.
What is that about?
They are in the worst cap situation I have ever seen coming into the 2017 NFL year, which starts on March 9th. Right now, they are $11 million over what everybody's estimating the cap is going to be next year. It hasn't been exactly determined just yet. Will be in the next couple of weeks. And that's despite the fact that 3 members in their secondary, Claiborne, Carr, and Church, are not under contract. They're free agents. They need more cap to sign these guys. So the Cowboys are releasing Tony Romo and most likely going to designate him a post-June 1st cut so they can spread out his enormous dead cap hit over the next 2 years. Because they are in ridiculous cap jail, my friend.
The dead cap for Tony Romo alone is $24.7 million. They're about $13 million over the salary cap, which is about $50 million worse than the league average. That's how bad the Cowboys' cap situation is right now.
Oh, they're in horrendous cap situation. So, like I say, I think they're going to release him, not for Tony Romo's sake, for the Cowboys' sake. Jerry Jones does not want to release Tony Romo to save his life, but they are forced to do it because of the cap mess that they've gotten themselves into.
Well, any mess that the Cowboys in definitely makes me happy, Carlton. You know that. So I'm not going to sit up there and feel sorry for them. They did it to themselves.
One additional comment, and this is on the Rivas situation. They were saying goodbye to him anyway. They have to. He's not worth a $15 million, cap charge this year, with 5 passes defended all of last year, and self-admittedly coming in way overweight. So this was step number 1 for the Jets righting that ship, and step number 2 is they got to get rid of Sheldon Richardson.
All right. Thanks a lot, Carlton. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. All-Star Weekend is about to begin. Once again, I'm coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana, site of this year's All-Star festivities. I'm going to be watching Russell Westbrook. I'm going to be watching Kevin Durant. I'm also noticing there ain't a Laker in sight on this team. No Lakers are members of All-Star Weekend. Carmelo got in because Commissioner Adam Silver put him in after Kevin Love went down, got injured, even though I think it should have been Bradley Beal as much as I love me some Carmelo Anthony. Doesn't matter now. All-Star Weekend is here. That means I'm out. I'll holler at y'all Monday afternoon. Until then, peace and love, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app. The NBA All-Star Game this Sunday.
Here's Curry behind the back. Half-court heave on its way. And he hits it!
Coverage begins Sunday at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.